So I picked up the Fisher ST-015 speakers, 8-inch woofer. Got a good price on them. Not a bad sounding speaker, but you know, as you can see, I already took the screws out. So we're going to lift this up. We're going to see what we're looking at here. The Fisher is not regarded as one of the best speakers on the planet, and I really don't know why, because they're not bad actually. Actually, the setup on this is not what I would call good. I mean, as you can see, there's no crossover. Hold on a minute. Let me set this to where it's not going to fall in. I'm working one hand here, guys. Give me a minute. Okay. So as you can see, there isn't a crossover in there. They use a capacitor on the mid-range and tweeter. There's also a resistor, inline resistor, inline capacitor. So what they use for filtering on this. In the port, you know, everyone makes a big deal out of the port and you know, oh, it's made out of cardboard, it's made out of plastic. Yeah, some of them, you know, cardboard has a different resonance than plastic does, and metal has different resonance than plastic does, but honestly, in my experience, it doesn't make a hell of a hoot what the port is made out of. It's just the diameter and distance from the back is what you need to care about. But this woofer right here, you know, Fisher woofer, most of this time period, this is a late model. It's about 1985 to 89 model. If you get lucky, the woofers in the mid-ranges they're made by a company called Foster. They're out of Japan. They were a really good company for making drivers, such as RTR was a good company for making drivers for many of the other high-name, speaker companies that were out there. Foster was also really good company for making drivers for other companies. This model actually sounds good for what it is. I'm not, I guess, a huge fan of leaving speakers with the you know, first order setup. I like something a little more detailed. The first order is all right. You know, when these are playing, the woofer, you know, bounces, it has an excursion, and it's just a little bit too much for the volumes that you're playing at for my liking, and it leaves out a lot of detail. So you're going to notice later on, I'm going to get to you know, making a crossover board. I am getting a pre-printed crossover board from Parts Express, blank board. I am constructing the values myself, you know, using the math like capacitance and total inductance total impedance for the speakers, and then going down through and figured out my values for my capacitors and inductors and everything, and make sure that the amp sees 8 ohm load at all times. It's very important, people, when you're making your own crossovers. Your amp, if it's not stable under 8 ohms, you make sure your crossover equals 8 ohms, so the amp sees 8 ohm, or it's not going to sound, it's not going to be good for the amp for one, and it's not going to sound right. So give me about probably another couple weeks or so, get everything ordered. Crossover board is expensive if you make it on your own. You can buy a cheap one from Parts Express for 40 bucks, and it's good, it's okay, but it does use cheaper parts, cheaper capacitors, cheaper inductors. I like the air cooled, I don't really like P-core, and you know, inductors. I like to make sure that everything sounds good, and I do prefer, again, Jansen, just because of the way they bake their air core inductors. It kind of eliminates the FM distortion ratio that you get. So whenever I get all the parts in, I'll make a video on the crossover and we'll get it installed and we'll hear a difference. All right, thanks for watching, guys.